What's up, everybody? It's Jordan, and welcome to the Sports 200 Show. On this episode, I had the chance to interview former NFL head coach Hugh Jackson. I was really appreciative that Hugh Jackson could stop by and join the show. But make sure to stay tuned for the whole episode because at the end of the interview, I will be naming the winner of the Tyler Boyd autograph giveaway card that I put on my Twitter and Instagram. So make sure to stay to the end and see if you won the Tyler Boyd autograph card. And here's my interview with former NFL head coach Hugh Jackson. What's up, everybody? It's Jordan, and welcome to the Sports 200 Show. And on today's episode, I have a very special guest joining me. He's coached all around the NFL. He's been the head coach for the Cleveland Browns, the head coach for the Oakland Raiders, and he was also the offensive coordinator at the Cincinnati Bengals. I have Hugh Jackson on this show. Thanks so much for joining the show, Hugh.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Really looking forward to this. I'm a big Bengal fan. Really excited to have you on the show. But before we get started, can you take a few minutes and tell the listeners what you've been up to recently?
Oh, I've been up to a lot of different things. I'm involved in I'm a partner in a tequila business, Grand Leanda Tequila. We're trying to really hit the market and scale our business. We are organic, 100% USDA organic tequila. Very fired up about that. I was on the I Am Athlete show the other day. It was a lot of fun, especially being around Chad and Brandon Marshall and Omar Kelly and my man Fred Taylor. Boy, it was a great opportunity to get to know them, and Chef Nancy, some great people. And my foundation is still going, the Hugh Jackson Foundation, where we're helping with human trafficking victims. We have a residence that's in Cleveland where we partner with the Salvation Army as to bring victims of human trafficking there. And then we have another group called Strangers to Changers, where we're trying to get people in their communities just to not be a stranger with each other, come together, find ways to do something positive to make a difference.
That's really, really cool. And could you tell some of the listeners where they can maybe find your foundation and your tequila company?
Yeah, so if they want to find the foundation, it's at hughjackson.org, and the tequila is at grandleanda.com. So we're fired up about everything we're doing in the space. We still got a lot of work to do to really make an impact, especially on human trafficking. And we truly believe that our tequila will grow.
That's really cool. I'll definitely put that link in the description below once this video is released. So like I mentioned, you've coached all around the NFL with so many different teams, and including the collegiate level. But take me back from the very beginning. At what age did you realize you wanted to become a coach? And who would you say was your biggest influence on starting a coaching career?
I think I knew I probably wanted to coach when I was in high school. When I was a senior in high school, our head coach left and went to another rival high school. So we were out without a coach for about a month and a half. And so I became the go-to guy to plan practices, get everybody together, figure out what we're going to do. We went and won the Watch Summer Games that year. So I thought I was a coach, and a lot of the players called me coach. And that's where it started for me. And I would say all of the National Football League coaches have influenced my career. The guy who's made the biggest impact on me has been Marvin Lewis. So I have a tremendous relationship with him. He's an unbelievable coach and an unbelievable friend.
Yeah, being a Bengal fan, Marvin Lewis is a great guy. You can't really ask for a better person or a coach. I mean, he's a great, great guy. And growing up, who were some coaches that you kind of looked up to and tried to model your coaching career after?
When I was growing up, you always looked at Tony Dungy because of what he was doing. Lovie Smith, you looked at Art Shell because those guys were the guys that were doing it. And Denny Green, because they were the minority coaches. When you think of the minorities that have been head coaches in the league, there's only been 18 of them. So, all those guys have had an influence on my career thus far.
Tony Dungy, I mean, he's a great coach, won a Super Bowl with the Colts. And it's very, very unfortunate that minority coaches don't really, it seem like they get the equal chance to be a head coach. Like you mentioned, there's not really been many minority coaches, head coaches in the NFL. But you started your NFL career with the Washington Redskins for a couple of years. And then after West Washington was over, you went to Cincinnati for a couple of years from 2004 to 2006. You had the chance to coach Chad Johnson. What was it like coaching a guy like Chad Johnson?
No, he was amazing. He was one of the best players I've ever coached because he loved ball. He loved football. He loved everything that came with football. He worked at it every day. You know, I couldn't get the guy off the field. He wanted to take scout team reps. He wanted to take every rep he can take because that was just Chad. I made a comment the other day. The receivers today, the new age receivers, are much different than what Chad and TJ, Kelly Washington, and guys that I had back then, because those guys could go all day. They never got tired. They practice all the time at a high level. These receivers now, they run a couple of routes and they got to come out, you know, because all of a sudden they're tired, or it was a big play or whatever it was. But that was what was different between what's happening now and what was happening then.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, you look at entertaining players in NFL history. Chad Johnson has to be like up there at the top of the list. Do you have any like favorite moments or funny stories that Chad you'd like to share on the show?
It was just, like I said, before that playoff game in 2005 against Pittsburgh, him just coming out and just seeing his body language and him just interacting with the fans. The fans were fired up. We knew we were going to go win that game. We were excited about playing the game. And obviously, Carson gets hurt. So that was the end of that. But we were very fired up. And that will always stick with me, because I truly believe we were going to win that game if Carson hadn't been playing.
Yeah, I mean, getting hurt in the playoffs in 2005 and then Dalton getting hurt in 2015. Very, very unfortunate. And the worst part is, I mean, of all the teams you get hurt against, it has to be the Steelers.
Yeah, both times. Yeah.
And after your time, your first stint with Cincinnati, you spent time with Atlanta, Baltimore, and the Oakland Raiders. And then in 2011, you were the head coach of the Raiders, going 8-8, very successful year, your first year being a head coach in the NFL. But surprisingly, the Raiders actually let you go. Did that kind of surprise you? Despite having a really, really good year, the Raiders let you go?
Absolutely. I mean, Al Davis, though, was the owner. He was the guy that hired me. I was his last head coach. We had a tremendous relationship. I really believe if Al was still alive, I'd still be at Oakland because we just had that bond. And his son took over. And in fairness to Mark, he did what he felt he needed to do. But I think if you look back on any year in the league, very seldom do 8-8 coaches get fired. You know, that just doesn't happen. But it happened then, but it brought me back to Cincinnati.
You mentioned minority coaches, and Caldwell, the Lions. You mentioned you were 8-8 and got fired. Jim Caldwell was 9-9 back-to-back years and got fired by the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, 9-7.
Crazy.
Yeah.
9-7. Excuse me.
No, he
Crazy.
did, and it was really that's really surprising, and you see where they are today. So, I mean, we minority coaches, and that's why, you know, they're trying to do some things differently. Like I said, this is the 100-year history of the league, and there's only been 18. So that's got to tell you something. So something has to be done, and hopefully the league is working at it.
So after your time with Oakland, you came back to Cincinnati. You stayed there until 2016. 2015, you made the Bengals offense look amazing. You made Andy Dalton look like an MVP candidate. And what was so special about that offense and your play calling that made it work out so well?
I just think we have really good players, and I try to do everything I could to put them in position to be successful. It wasn't about the coach. It was about the players, and I think it's always that way. I think you take the talent that's given you and you try to showcase it. You let those guys be who they are. There was a lot of confidence because they had won a lot of games together. They were very talented. And they were very driven, and they wanted to win. So it was unfortunate losing that game again against Pittsburgh in the playoffs. But at the same time, I was very proud of the effort of the men who played in 2015.
So you were on the coaching staff of 2005 and 2015. Those are easily the best teams the Bengals have had the last 20 or 25 years. Which team would you say is better? 2005, 2015.
That's a good question. I know the 2005 team offensively could play with anybody. The defensive team that year was very optimistic. So I know the defensive team in 2015 was better than that defense. So it would have been a heck of a game. But I was going to have to call that one a draw for me.
And also 2005, 2015, Chad Johnson, you coached him, and A.J. Green. Who would you say is better, Johnson or A.J. Green?
I think it's hard to compare. They're two different type of receivers. Chad was probably the best route runner in football. He has feet that I've never seen. A.J. is so smooth, so long, and agile. They're both were great players. They both were fun to coach. They both, during my time, had unbelievable years. So I'm gonna call that one a draw too.
Both of those players are definitely worthy of potentially being in the Hall of Fame. Green's been injury prone past several years, but if you can have maybe a couple of thousand more yards and like that, definitely worthy of the Hall of Fame. So after 2015, you coached the Cleveland Browns. Going in, it was a very difficult spot for you. How difficult was it to coach for the Browns?
Well, it wasn't difficult to coach for them. It was difficult in the situation. Hey, they gave me an opportunity, and that's all you can ask for. I took it, and it didn't work out. Sometimes it happens that way, water off a duck's back, you move on to the next one, but that was a growing experience for me. The players, I thank them all because they gave me everything they had when I was there. And again, you just move on.
While with Cleveland, you tried to trade for A.J. McCarron, but unfortunately that trade did not work out. What was the reasoning of that trade not working out?
I don't have the reason for it. It just didn't work out. Sometimes things just don't go through.
What are some things that you think you learned at Cleveland that you believe will help you on your next coaching job?
Well, I think anytime when it doesn't work the way you think it should, you go back and look at, everything. So I've walked back through the whole hiring process. I walked back through the hiring of coaches, the staffing, understanding the commitment that we had to our players, all those things you kind of walk back through, dealing with the media. You learn so many different things when things don't go well because you go back and think through all of them. You nitpick everything to make sure if you ever get the chance again that you align things, you have the vision right, you make sure everything is gonna be in lockstep in order for you to have a chance to be successful.
And during your time with Cleveland, people talk about, your record wasn't really great, but you really look at Cleveland's roster. It was really a horrible, horrible roster.
Well,
Aging Josh McCown,
I'm glad
Dave
you said
Will.
that. I'm not going to say that, but I'm glad you did. The most important thing is, hey, that's behind me. Last time I checked, that was 2018. This is 2020, about to be 2021. And there's so many great things that are ahead and looking so forward to it.
I remember Terrell Pryor was your leading receiver. He was a quarterback in college. And you look at some teams now, and for instance, the Bengals, who have so much more talent, who just aren't really doing good. And speaking of the Bengals and coaching, if the opportunity came up, would you be interested in coming back to Cincinnati for the Bengals?
Oh, absolutely. That's a organization that has my heart. They've been good to me, the family. Obviously, the Browns family, they've been unbelievably good to me. Mike Brown, Katie Troy, Mike's wife, they've all really have helped me tremendously in my career. So I could not ever return the favor.
Yeah, I would absolutely love to have you back in Cincinnati. If you made Andy Dalton look like an MVP candidate, I cannot imagine what you could do with Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow's a really good player. It's really been fun watching him. I hate that he got hurt because he's a tremendous player. Hopefully he can return and get back to being what he's always been.
So with Burrow, what are your thoughts on Burrow, and what's your most favorite thing about Joe Burrow?
I think Joe Burrow is a winner. I think he knows how to win. I think he is pinpoint accurate. I think he is a big-time NFL quarterback. He's demonstrated that. I think he's going to win some titles in Cincinnati. I think if they really invest in people around him in every way, I think he will lead Cincinnati to their Super Bowl.
Yeah, if we ever win a Super Bowl, I truly believe it's going to be with Burrow. There's so much potential with him and so much potential for the Bengals in the future. And, talking about Burrow, there's so many young, good quarterbacks in the NFL. Burrow, Kyler Murray, Justin Herbert. If you can coach any young quarterback in the NFL, who would it be and why?
It would be Joe Burrow. Because I think he's the prototypical quarterback who has all the arm talent you need. He is more athletic than people think. He's athletic enough to make plays with his legs. Not that you would want him doing that all the time, but he is very pinpoint accurate, and the guy likes to win. The one thing I love, it was burning him to the core of not winning because he's used to winning. Winners win, and that's just what they're used to. And he's an alpha male, and he likes to win, and you cannot not have that at that position.
Yeah, I mean, I know I said it before, but I would absolutely love to see you and Burrow. I mean, that would be an amazing duo. You all would have a great offense. And like I said, you've coached at the collegiate level and the NFL level for a very long time. And is there anything looking back you maybe regret or wish you would have done differently?
Oh, I mean, I've said it before, and so I'm not going to change it. I wish I never would have went to Cleveland. I wish I would have stayed in Cincinnati, but I wasn't going to stay in the situation because I was asked to, be the coach in waiting behind one of my best friends, and I never wanted him looking over his shoulder. My relationship with him was bigger than a job, and I think people got to understand that sometimes you make decisions for different reasons, but there's a relationship there that I have with him that I would never, ever take for granted because he's been there for me every step of the way. And I didn't want to be the reason why he was losing his job.
Yeah, that's a true friendship right there. And
Mm-hmm.
there is rumors coming out today that multiple teams have been calling Marvin Lewis and they're interested in him about potentially being a head coach. If Lewis goes to a team, is that something maybe you would go to Marvin wherever he goes?
I sure would try to. You better believe it. I mean, he is, in my opinion, the best coach that's out there that's not coaching, and he knows how to get a team prepared and ready to play. He has been one of the best defensive geniuses in the National Football League. He's demonstrated that, and I know what he wants, what he looks for, and boy, it'd be great to get the gang back together again and go somewhere and win some games.
Yeah, that would definitely be great to see. Well, can you tell some of the listeners where they can follow you on social media?
Yeah, my Instagram is Hugh Jackson 5, and my Twitter, I don't even know it. I think it's Hugh Jackson. I really believe that's what my Twitter is, but that's my Instagram for sure. And again, I want to thank everybody who's on here. I know these are diehard Bengals fans. I know it's been tough for them. I totally understand. I've been there. Hang in there. Obviously, you guys got a quarterback that you truly believe in, who I think is going to be a sensational player. I think the organization understands that they got to protect him, because we don't want to get him hurt. They got to do everything they can to keep him upright, because if they do, he can throw it straight and he can make the magic happen. And I truly believe that he will here in Cincinnati.
I really hope you all enjoyed that interview with former NFL head coach Hugh Jackson. I was really appreciative and excited that he was able to join the show. So the winner of the Tyler Boyd autograph card that I put on my Instagram and Twitter is Donato Frank from Instagram. Congratulations on winning. I will contact you for further details. Thank you all so much for listening. If you would like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate it. And I will see you next time on the Sports Duhan Show.